COVID-19 has taken center stage in our lives for the past few weeks, forcing us to be very conscious about our surroundings, what we touch, how to stay safe, and I could go on and on. But have we paid as much attention to our finances and how able already we are to deal with this disease and its aftermath? Well, that's what today's Jamaica Magazine is all about, presenting you food for thought and opportunities you can capitalize on during this time. I'm Theodore Henry. Stay with us.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Before it was announced that Jamaica had any confirmed case of the coronavirus, COVID-19, persons were stocking up on items. And after the official report, the buying increased, almost to the point of hysteria. With this rush on establishments, we must ask ourselves, are we overspending? And are we buying the things we really need for the moment? Let's break it down.
With COVID-19 now in Jamaica, we are being advised to stock up on hygiene supplies that can be used to protect ourselves, as well as to have at least 2 weeks' supply of food and water in reserve. A lot of us may not have the disposable income to readily do that, at least not without tapping into a little savings we have managed to put aside. But financial experts will tell you, whatever the need, it is important not to deplete our savings, and money management is critically important. But how to do that? First, don't rush to shop, or panic shopping as they put it. Why? Because you may buy things you don't immediately need, leading to wasted spending. Next, I would say assess your home situation. Check how many persons are in the family, if there are babies, toddlers, and persons with special needs. You should then decide on the amount of available money you have to spend. Make a list of the things you need. The experts suggest at least 2 weeks' supply of basic food items and medication. To help with your shopping list, it's a good idea to work out a meal plan for the period. Next, be disciplined. Try not to divert from this meal plan too much and finish the supply early. This would mean going back to the store to spend more money. Protecting your health is priority number 1, and being smart with your expenses actually supports that. We must remember that we are not sure how long the country will be going through this pandemic. So, as best as possible, we need to ensure our money can carry us through for as long as possible and hopefully have reserves for after.
From the data, we can see that most countries will enter a phase of rapid increase in cases. However, depending on the containment measures employed and the timeliness and effectiveness of their implementation, the severity of the increase in infections can be managed downwards. Empowering citizens with information that encourages responsible personal hygiene and community health behavior, such as washing hands regularly and staying home if ill, tracing and containing infected and contact cases, that is quarantine measures, and implementing social distancing measures, gathering restrictions, for example, have real effects on slowing down and containing the spread of the virus.
It is said that by May, the country may have reached the peak of confirmed cases of COVID-19, but the recovery process and further containment measures may still be in place for a few more months. So, what else can you do to protect your financial health? A key thing is to not max out your credit card and income because you are worried that supplies will run out. Check for moratorium on mortgages and loans. Use this as a reserve cash flow instead of your pay or savings. I know it's easy to get off track with plans, but we have to be disciplined and we have to prioritize, now more than ever.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. How to wash your hands. Firstly, wet your hands. Then apply some soap. Rub your hands palm to palm. Lather the backs of your hands. Scrub between your fingers. Rub the backs of fingers on the opposing palms. Then clean your thumbs. Make sure to wash your fingernails and fingertips. Rinse your hands. Then dry with a single-use towel. Use this towel to turn off the faucet. And now your hands are clean. When to wash your hands? After coughing or sneezing, after taking public transportation, when caring for the sick, before, during, and after you prepare and eat food, after toilet use, when hands are visibly dirty, after handling animals or animal waste. An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
To contain the spread of COVID-19 and to enforce social distancing, government has instituted a work-from-home order.
There are many among us that have long mastered the concept of working from home. But for the majority, businesses and individuals alike, it's a new foreign concept. In that mix are persons whose means of earning simply does not translate to a homework environment, or so it may seem. Let's explore some options. First, if you are socially engaging and have a passion for anything, consider creating content for online. YouTube is a great platform for this. To get started, all you need is a device that can record video. A phone with a decent camera would suffice, and a subject that you're knowledgeable and passionate about. Create your own YouTube page and begin to upload. Over time, as you build an audience, you can begin to earn from ads placed on YouTube, as well as sponsorships that come directly to you. For those whose places of employment have directed them to take their work tasks home, the important thing is to ensure you remain productive. Unlike the 9-to-5 routine of the physical work environment, your home is likely to come with a lot of distractions as you try to navigate around other family members and the fact you don't have a boss physically there to check in on you. It will be important to formulate a routine that will allow you to complete the work that is required of you. Try creating a things to do list and put a timestamp on it. For example, between 9 a.m. and noon is when you will complete that report your manager has asked for. This will work more effectively if it's shared with family members, not the details, but the timelines, so they know when not to disturb you. Depending on the type of business, working from home could require access to the company's network or the transfer of data. And this brings me to my third and final point. Companies will need to put infrastructures in place to ensure their employees can access all the information and resources needed to maintain productivity in the home spaces. This may involve providing laptops with required software for connectivity. Employers will also need to institute an accountability system to check in with workers to ensure they are actually performing.
We are trying to put in place the measures, bearing in mind that it is not the intention of the government to shut down the economy. What we are trying to do is to institute the measures that we believe will inure to greater practice of social distancing, which is what is now being recommended as the most effective way of controlling the spread of COVID-19.
Protect yourself from the flu virus. Visit your nearest health center or doctor to get the flu vaccine. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water or by using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid the spread of germs by not touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. And be sure to regularly disinfect surfaces and objects that are used often. Remember, your health is your responsibility.
Before we go any further on this journey of exploring financial health during the COVID-19 pandemic, let's examine one of the main reasons many of us will need to reassess the way we work, for at least the short term. I'm talking about social distancing and why many governments are insisting on it.
Apart, but still in it together. United, though not physically. Welcome to the period of social distancing, an important method to contain transmission of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Social distancing keeps people from interacting closely or frequently enough to spread an infectious disease. Social distancing involves minimizing contact with people and maintaining a distance of at least 1 meter or 3 feet between you and others. It also extends to avoiding public transportation as much as possible, limiting non-essential overseas travel, working from home, and skipping public gatherings.
For persons who are particularly sociable, really you should keep down the group meetings. I know it's difficult, but please. And at a time when persons are visiting or so, the hugging and the kissing, no. As much as possible, just cut that out until COVID is gone.
Locally, schools and other gathering places such as bars, nightclubs, and similar areas of entertainment have been ordered closed. A number of large events such as sporting activities have also been cancelled. Even if persons must gather, then the social distance rule of 1 meter must be adhered to. Also, no more than 10 persons are allowed to congregate within the same space at a time. Markets, supermarkets, corner shops, restaurants, and cook shops, which remain open, should at all times do so with a limited number of persons.
Gatherings in any place shall not exceed 10 persons. And this one has to be strictly enforced.
The Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC is also subjected to the policy and is permitted to carry seated passengers only. Likewise, taxi operators are required to carry 1 less passenger than they are licensed to. Social distancing is a tested and proven method to limit the spread of a virus. This strategy saved thousands of lives during both the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 and in Mexico City during the 2009 flu pandemic.
What we are trying to do is to institute the measures that we believe will inure to greater practice of social distancing, which is what is now being recommended as the most effective way of controlling the spread of COVID-19.
Please note, it is okay to go outdoors, particularly around your yard space if you do have one. Being close to the garden is especially recommended for seniors who may need to maintain exercise of the limbs. The point is not to remain indoors, but to avoid being in close contact with others. When you do leave your home, wipe down any surfaces you come in contact with, avoid touching your face, and frequently wash your hands. Here are some tips to help you maintain social distancing. When you go grocery shopping, buy as much as you can at a time to minimize the number of trips. In addition, select a time when the store is least likely to be crowded. Avoid dining out. You may opt for takeout or delivery service. If you must take public transport, do so during the off-peak hours and avoid taking vehicles that are full. At work, implement the remote work or staff rotation policy to decrease the number of persons within the same space at a time. Also consider virtual meetings.
In some places we've seen pictures where they're conducting a meeting and they have the chairs, they have the space marked out for the chairs, so they have a little square on the floor and they're separated.
Delay trips to crowded venues like the park or malls. The best mechanism to ward off COVID-19 and other contagious viruses is to stay home. If you must venture out, practice social distancing. In addition, take a hand sanitizer with you and use it after touching surfaces and door handles.
Some persons are not comfortable with hand sanitizer, so I'm here to tell you that the hand sanitizer is just as good as soap and water. If you can get hand sanitizer, make sure you check it to see the percentage of alcohol. It shouldn't be less than 60% alcohol. We recommend 70, but sometimes it's hard to find the 70%, so if you see the hand sanitizer and it has 60% alcohol, that can work. If you can't see the concentration of alcohol, do not buy that hand sanitizer.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness made several announcements on water, housing, land, human development, special economic zones, and many others. He was making his contribution to the 2020-2021 budget debate in the Houses of Parliament, and we have the highlights.
I will show you the new Jamaica that is emerging, the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise family, and retire in paradise. economy can't shut down the economy has to continue, and therefore there are some strategic decisions that have to be made about just keeping the economy going.
And so, in addition to the $25 billion stimulus package announced by the Finance Minister, Prime Minister Andrew Holness revealed a $10 billion cushion for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs. A Development Bank of Jamaica initiative, the bank will on-lend to financial institutions who will then loan MSMEs at interest rates that have been reduced by 0.75%. As of April 1, the Development Bank will make available $486 million in grants for technical assistance to MSMEs. An additional $10 billion has been set aside for innovative and industrial-type agriculture projects.
Now is the time for enterprising farmers, big or small farmers, and businessmen, big or small, to utilize idle lands, including idle sugar lands, right across Jamaica. Now more than ever, we must feed ourselves.
Over a 3-year period, 20,000 titles will be issued, amendments made to legislation governing lands, and
this program will allow persons in these communities to obtain their titles and pay the cost over time.
expansions are also expected with the special economic zones industry.
We are going to put out requests for proposals for persons to come and develop the Southlands of Caymanas.
In 2020-2021, government will be spending $15.9 billion on improving the capacity and capability of the country's security architecture. Of that figure, $1.2 billion will be spent on the supply and installation of cameras, servers, software, as well as radio communication and dispatch equipment. Equipping the Maritime Air and Cyber Command, promulgating the anti-gang legislation, implementing the €20 million Citizen Security Plan, and the establishment of more restorative justice centers will also be carried out in 2020-2021.
The returns on the unprecedented investments in the security apparatus already made is bearing fruit, and more gains will be realized in the coming years.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness will continue to tend to the most vulnerable in society in 2020-2021.
JSIF will engineer and construct an inclusive playground for children with disabilities at Hope Green in Papine. JSIF, in partnership with the Child Protection and Family Service agencies, will construct a therapeutic center at the Maxfield Park Children's Home. The government is offering full scholarships to train 2 more perfusionists to enhance the capacity to do these life-saving surgeries. The next stage of scaling up of the HOPE program is the full involvement of the private sector. The selection process is far advanced and successful candidates will be assigned within the public sector by May 2020. It is evident that there is the need for another comprehensive review of the public education system covering all sectors of education, and therefore establishing the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission 2020 under the chairmanship of Professor Orlando Pattison, John Cowles Professor of Sociology at Harvard University. We are targeting the establishment of 6 new STEM high schools, academies, that will serve as centers of excellence for STEM education. We are also collaborating with private sector entities to establish the National STEM Teacher Development Center. Ground truthing of the boundary of the area proposed for protection as the cockpit country is far advanced. The National Tree Planting Initiative to meet the targeted 3 million trees in 3 years is ongoing. So far, we have planted 100,000 trees as part of this effort. Improving data collection efforts and increasing our predictive capabilities and managing climate impacts is critical. We have therefore purchased a new weather radar valued at approximately $3 million for the Met Station in Cooper's Hill. We have also signed a contract for the design and installation of a new dual polarization Doppler radar to replace the now obsolete system by December 2020.
In 2020-2021, the Port Authority will be developing the 50-acre Falmouth East Master Plan, a commercial and logistics complex on 12 acres of land at the Montego Bay Free Zone, and extend the Portmore Informatics Park on 6.1 acres of land targeting global services. And the Urban Development Corporation planning for the island's first wildlife sanctuary at Goat Islands has already begun.
NROC will focus on the implementation of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. Planning has begun for connecting both the north-south and the east-west leg of the highway, allowing seamless travel in all directions from both corridors.
In eastern Jamaica, the $5.37 billion Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project will kick off with the Harborview to Yallahs leg.
This GIDP is not just a roadwork program, but a true integrated infrastructure program incorporating road and development, water and wastewater, drainage and bridges, sidewalks, streetlights, telecommunications and sensors.
A modernized version of the Lengthman program will be implemented to not only fix highly trafficked roads, but also provide jobs for persons impacted by COVID-19 and displaced sugar workers.
The HAJ's priority going into the next year and beyond are clear: making affordable housing a reality for over 3,000 Jamaican families.
As a result, housing projects are being pursued in St. Catherine, St. James, Trelawney and St. Andrew. At the National Housing Trust, the completion of housing projects are 37% above target. The Guaranteed Purchaser program will be expanded to include efficient developers to provide houses worth between $5 and $8 million.
A total of 8,364 housing solutions are being proposed for the parishes of Hanover, St. Thomas, Portland, Westmoreland, St. James, and St. Elizabeth.
The Trust will also be continuing its scheme upgrade program, financing of off-site water supply and sewerage projects, as well as building new housing solutions at Rasta City West, Kingston, with the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
For the financial year 2020-2021, an estimated $41 billion will be spent targeting 5,275 housing completions.
And to provide a buffer for mortgages impacted by COVID-19.
Effective immediately, mortgagors who are laid off can apply for a moratorium on all loan payments for 3 months in the first instance.
Mortgagors may also extend the tenure of their loan or reduce their interest rates. As of April 1, intergenerational mortgagors will be able to access houses on the open market and construction loans. Persons over 65 years may now make voluntary contributions to the NHT to access housing benefits up to age 70.
The Trust will, effective April 1, 2020, reduce interest rates on all new loans by 1%. We are also giving a reduction of 0.5% on all existing loans. The interest rate discounts currently offered to special groups, such as mortgagors aged 55 years and over, the disabled as well as public sector workers, will continue. We have to make this the decade when Jamaica take off. We have to make this the decade when we expand the wealth of our country. We have to make this the decade, Mr. Speaker, when communities can sleep with their windows and doors open.
Tip number 1. Keep your regular medication and other supplies well stocked. Ensure there is access to several weeks of medications and supplies in case there is a need for you to stay home. Monitor food and other medical supplies needed and create a plan in the event that such resources become depleted. Tip number 2. Stay sanitized. Tip number 3. Respond to multi-generational living situations. Many older adults live in homes where other members, such as children, may have frequent colds. Therefore, do not share personal items like food, water bottles, and utensils. If possible, choose a room in your home that can be used to separate sick household members from those who are healthy. Tip number 4. Develop intentional caregiver plans. Older adults may be caregivers or may receive care themselves. Caregivers and care recipients should discuss their preparation plans, including how to stay in touch via phone or email. Determine who can provide you with care if your caregiver gets sick. And tip number 5, keep abreast of essential up-to-date information. That means you should find and regularly check a trusted information source.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm, and watch this and other programs on our YouTube channel. While you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JISnews. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.